The first encounter the city was quiet that night. Street lamps made small circles of light on the empty road. Cars passed once in a while, their headlights cutting through the fog. Daniel was walking home from work, holding a paper bag of groceries. It was just another boring Tuesday for him, at least. That's what he thought. He turned into a small side street, the one he always used as a shortcut. Normally it was empty, just the sound of his own footsteps. But tonight something felt different. He couldn't say why, but the air felt heavier. Then he heard it. A sound, faint, like a whimper. Daniel slowed down and looked around. At first he saw nothing. Just trash cans, shadows, and the flicker of a broken streetlight. Then, near the corner, he saw movement. Something small. He took a step closer. And that's when he saw her. She was crouched beside a dumpster. A small figure, thin and shaking. She wore a ragged piece of cloth that looked nothing like normal clothes. Her hair was short and messy, but it wasn't just her hair, her skin. It had a strange faint glow, like moonlight trapped under the surface. Her eyes looked up at him, big, wide, bright. Not human. Daniel froze. She looked like a child, maybe 12 years old, but there was something about her face, her ears, her eyes. Definitely not from here. Not from Earth. He almost dropped his grocery bag. The girl's lips moved, but no sound came out. She hugged her stomach and bent forward like she was in pain. Daniel took a small step closer. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked softly. She shook her head slowly. Her eyes didn't leave him. He didn't know what else to do, so he reached into his grocery bag. The first thing his hand touched was a loaf of bread. He pulled it out and held it toward her. At first, she didn't move. She just stared at the bread like it was some kind of rare treasure. Then, as if she couldn't stop herself, she crawled forward and snatched it from his hand. She didn't eat it like a normal person. She tore into it like an animal who hadn't eaten in days. Her hands shook as she shoved pieces into her mouth, crumbs falling everywhere. Daniel stood there, speechless. She finished the bread. She looked up at him again. There was a tiny sound from her throat, almost like, "Thank you." The words were strange, not quite English, but he understood somehow. He opened his mouth to ask who she was, where she came from. But before he could speak, she darted backward. It was so fast, he almost didn't see her move. 1 second she was there. The next she was gone, slipping into the dark space between buildings. Daniel ran a few steps after her, but when he turned the corner, there was nothing. Just shadows and silence. He stood there for a moment, trying to make sense of what had just happened. Was that real? He whispered to himself. The fog rolled in thicker, and a cold breeze made him shiver. He looked around again, but there was no sign of the girl. Finally, he sighed and started walking home, his mind full of questions he couldn't answer. All night, he couldn't stop thinking about her. That strange glow on her skin, those big eyes, the way she ate like she hadn't seen food in weeks, the way she vanished, like the shadows had swallowed her whole. The next day, Daniel told himself it was none of his business. Maybe she was part of some weird street performance. Maybe he had imagined it. The brain could play tricks, right? But deep down, he knew it wasn't his imagination. He had felt something in that moment, something heavy, important. Still days passed, and there was no sign of her. Life went back to normal. He worked, he came home, he cooked dinner. He tried to forget, until the third night. Daniel was making tea when he heard it. A sound at his door. Not a knock, more like a gentle tap. He frowned, put down his cup, and walked to the door. When he opened it, the cold night air rushed in, and there she was, the same girl, standing on his porch. Her eyes locked on his. But this time, She wasn't alone. Behind her stood a tall figure. A woman. Her skin glowed brighter, her hair was long and silver, and her gaze was sharp and unreadable. Before Daniel could speak, the woman stepped forward. Her voice was calm, but carried a strange power. "My daughter says you saved her life," she said. "We have come." "To stay?" Daniel blinked, trying to understand. "Stay? Why?" The woman's head turned slightly, as if she was listening to something far away. Then her eyes narrowed. "They are coming," she said quietly. "We don't have much time." A cold chill went down Daniel's spine. He didn't know who they were, but something in her voice told him it wasn't good. And just like that, his quiet life was gone. The returned Daniel's hand was still on the doorframe. The cold air bit into his skin, but he barely felt it. His eyes kept jumping between the girl he had fed days ago and the tall woman behind her. The woman was unlike anyone he had ever seen or imagined. Her skin glowed faint silver, like moonlight trapped in glass. Her long hair swayed even though there was no wind. Her eyes were deep, shimmering pools that seemed to look not just at him, but through him. The girl stayed close to her side, clutching her mother's hand like it was the only safe thing left in the universe. "You fed my child," the woman said. Her voice was soft, but Daniel felt the weight of every word. It wasn't gratitude. It was a statement. A fact. Daniel nodded slowly. She was hungry. The woman's eyes narrowed slightly, as if measuring him. "We have come to stay with you." Daniel blinked. "Stay? What are you talking about?" "I don't even—" The woman suddenly raised her hand, signaling him to stop. Her head tilted slightly, her eyes scanning the darkness beyond the porch. "Not here," she said. "They are already close." Daniel swallowed hard. "Who's close?" She didn't answer. Instead, she placed her hand gently on the girl's shoulder and stepped forward. "Let us in. If you value your life, do not ask questions until the door is closed." Something in her tone, calm but edged with urgency, made him move without thinking. He stepped aside, and the two slipped inside quickly. The moment the door shut, Daniel noticed it, a faint hum, low, mechanical. It wasn't coming from his house. It was coming from outside, and it was getting louder. The woman glanced at the ceiling as if she could see through it. 2 scouts. One above, one at the back. "Your home will not be safe for long." Daniel's voice cracked. "Scouts? What are they scouting for?" The little girl looked at him with wide eyes and whispered, "Us." That single word sent a shiver through him. The hum grew sharper. This time, Daniel heard a faint click, 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 like metal legs tapping against glass. The woman turned to him. "Do you have a basement?" "Why, yeah," Daniel said, still processing everything. "Show me." They moved quickly. The girl stayed close to her mother. Daniel led them down the creaky stairs into his small basement. The woman touched the walls with her fingertips, closing her eyes for a moment. Finally, she spoke. "Thin structure, weak metal. It will not stop them for long, but—" Her hand moved in a strange pattern over the wall, and Daniel's eyes widened as faint glowing lines appeared under her touch. "What? What are you doing?" he asked. The woman didn't answer. She traced more symbols, and a thin sheet of light spread across the wall like water over glass. "This will buy us a few minutes." Daniel's heart was pounding now. "Minutes before what?" the girl answered for her. "Before they find the door." As if on cue, there was a sharp thud upstairs. Not like a knock, more like something heavy had landed on the roof. Daniel froze. Another thud, this time from the back of the house. The woman looked at him with those piercing eyes. "You fed my child. Now you are part of this, whether you want to be or not." He didn't know if that was a threat or a warning. The girl tugged on his sleeve. They won't leave until they take us. And now, they'll take you too. Daniel's stomach dropped. Take me? Where? The mother stepped closer, lowering her voice. To a place you cannot come back from. Another thud. Louder. Closer. Something scraped against the wall. Then Daniel heard it. A voice, mechanical and cold, speaking in a language he couldn't understand. The sound made his skin crawl. The woman's eyes flashed with a faint glow. She turned to Daniel. If you want to live, you will do exactly as I say. The hum outside turned into a sharp, high-pitched whine. The sound of something charging. Daniel didn't know what these things were. He didn't know why they wanted the girl and her mother. But one thing was certain. They were not going to knock politely ** the secret they carry. The basement lights flickered. Not from a power cut. The flicker had rhythm, like something. Outside was interfering. Daniel stood frozen, his ears straining to catch every sound above. The sharp, insect-like tapping moved along the walls. Something metallic dragged against the siding. The noise stopped. And then came a slow, deliberate knock on the floor above them. They're testing, the woman said quietly. Daniel looked. At her. Testing what? Our fear, she replied, her voice like a whisper wrapped in steel. They feed on it before they take us. Daniel's stomach twisted. Who are they? A woman looked at him for a long moment. Then she crouched in front of the girl and touched her cheek. Tell him. The girl hesitated. Then she spoke, her voice soft but clear. We are from a place far away, a world of light. My mother, she can heal. Heal, Daniel frowned. Like a doctor? The woman's eyes locked on his. Not like a doctor, like a miracle. Daniel tried to process it, but she didn't give him time. Our people keep the balance. We cure the sick, repair what is broken, restore what was lost, but gifts like ours attract. Hunters. The girl's eyes filled with fear. They want her power. They want to use it to keep their own armies alive forever. A heavy clang shook the basement ceiling. Dust rained down. Daniel's heart pounded. So they've been following you. All the way here? The woman shook her head. No, they weren't following us until you. Daniel blinked. Me? You touched her, the woman said, nodding toward her daughter. When she ate your food, when you gave without asking for anything in return, it bound you. A trace of my child's life force is inside you now. Daniel's mouth went dry. And that means? They can smell it, she said simply. To them, you are part of us now. Another sound, this one worse. A sharp, high-pitched screech, like metal tearing. It came from upstairs. The girl clutched Daniel's arm. They're opening the roof. Daniel's instinct screamed it. Him to run, but there was nowhere to go. The woman reached into the folds of her strange clothing and pulled out something small, a smooth, black stone etched with glowing blue lines. She pressed it into his palm. This is a beacon, she said, but not for them. If we are taken, if you are taken, crush it. Someone will come. Daniel stared at the stone. Who? The woman's gaze didn't waver. Pray you never. Have to find out. A loud crash shattered the air. Upstairs, wood splintered. Heavy footsteps, not human, moved inside the house. The woman grabbed the girl's hand. Daniel, stay behind me. He didn't argue. From above, that cold, mechanical voice spoke again. This time, Daniel understood one word, capture. The woman closed her eyes for a brief second. A faint silver glow spread across her skin, brighter than before. Daniel didn't know what was about to happen, but he knew one thing. The night he gave a hungry alien girl food had just turned into the night he might lose his life. Asterisk unwanted visitors. The footsteps upstairs were heavy, deliberate. Not like a person walking, more like something testing the ground with each step, listening for what was below. Daniel's heart thumped so loud he was sure they could hear it. The woman stood perfectly still, her glowing skin faint under the basement light. The girl pressed against her side, eyes wide. A sharp hiss cut through the air. Daniel looked up. A circular hole was burning open in the wooden floor above. The edges smoked, and a strange molten smell filled the basement. "They're coming." "In," Daniel whispered. "They already are in," the woman replied. Before he could ask what she meant, something dropped through the hole. It wasn't human. The thing was tall, skeletal, and made of metal that shimmered like wet stone. Its face, if it could be called a face, had no mouth, only a black slit where sound pulsed like a heartbeat. 6 spidery limbs moved with precision, and its long, claw-like fingers flexed as if tasting the air. The girl gripped Daniel's arm. "It's a harvester." The creature tilted its head. The black slit flared, and Daniel heard a sound inside. His skull, not with his ears, but inside his mind. A cold voice. 3 signatures. 1 priority. Daniel felt a sudden heat in his chest, right where the woman said the girl's life force was inside him. The harvester turned toward him, before it could move. The woman stepped forward, her hand flashing with silver light. A burst of energy shot from her palm, hitting the creature square in the chest. The harvester screeched, not in pain, but in surprise. It stumbled back, claws scraping the concrete floor. Another thud shook the ceiling. More of them. The woman didn't look at Daniel, but her voice was sharp. "There will be 3 more. The first is only to find us. The others will not leave." Without blood, the harvester lunged. Daniel moved back, nearly tripping over a toolbox. The woman met the creature halfway, her hands glowing brighter now. She touched its chest again, and its body froze, every limb locking in place. The glow spread along its metal frame, and then, with a sound like breaking glass, the harvester collapsed in on itself, shrinking to the size of a fist before hitting the floor with a dull clink. Daniel stared. What the hell was that? The woman finally looked at him. A warning. Above them, the ceiling groaned as something heavy moved directly over the basement door. Then silence. Daniel swallowed. Did they leave? The girl shook her head. No, they're waiting for us to open the door. The silence broke with a deafening metallic scream, the sound of metal tearing through wood. Shards rained down as a second harvester began forcing its way through. The woman stepped back toward the wall she had marked earlier with glowing lines. She pressed her palm against it, and the light flared bright enough to hurt Daniel's eyes. The floor beneath them trembled, not from the harvesters, but from something below. The woman's voice was calm, but her words were like ice. "If they break through, I will take you somewhere they cannot follow, but you may not return." Daniel looked at the girl. She stared back at him, her small hands trembling. Then the second harvester dropped through the hole. Its black slit widened, and this time the voice inside Daniel's mind was louder. 2 targets, 1 corrupted. It was looking directly at him. Asterisk the trap tightens. The second harvester didn't move right away. It just stood there, tilting its head like a predator, deciding where to bite first. Daniel could feel its stare like a weight pressing on his chest. It knew. It knew exactly who he was now. The woman moved in front of him, blocking its line of sight. "You cannot have him," she said, her voice low and dangerous. The harvester's black slit pulsed. This time the voice in Daniel's head was clearer, colder. "The bond cannot be erased. He will be taken." The woman didn't wait for it to make the first move. Her hands flared with silver light again, but before she could strike, the creature extended one long arm. A thin, whip-like strand of black metal shot out, wrapping around her wrist. She gasped as her glow dimmed. Daniel's stomach lurched. "What's happening?" the girl shouted. "It's draining her." The harvester pulled hard, dragging the woman toward it. Sparks of silver energy bled from her skin into the creature's frame. Its limbs twitched with power. Daniel's instincts screamed at him to run, but something else inside him screamed louder. His eyes darted to the toolbox he'd nearly tripped over earlier. He grabbed the heaviest thing inside, a steel hammer, and swung with everything he had. The hammer smashed against the harvester's arm. The sound was like hitting stone, and pain shot up Daniel's arm, but the whip loosened for half. A second. It was enough for the woman to twist free and blast the creature in the head. The harvester stumbled back, a glowing crack splitting down its face. But then the floor shook. The girl looked up, her face pale. "The others are inside." 2 more harvesters dropped through the hole above, landing with a metallic thud that made the air feel heavier. Daniel's chest tightened. "We can't fight all of them." The woman didn't answer. Instead, she reached into the folds of her clothing and pulled out something that looked like a small glass sphere, filled with swirling silver mist. She pressed it into Daniel's hand. "If they touch you, crush it, no matter what happens to me." Daniel stared at it. "What will it do?" Her eyes locked on his. "Save you or destroy everything around you? There is no in-between." The harvesters advanced, their claws clicking against the floor. The woman pushed Daniel and the girl toward the glowing wall she had marked earlier. "Now," Daniel hesitated, "what's on the other side?" She didn't answer. She slammed her palm against the symbols, and the wall rippled like water through it. Daniel saw not another room, but an endless black sky filled with floating shards of light. The girl's grip tightened on his arm. "It's not safe here, but it's safer than this." The harvesters lunged. The woman shouted, "Go!" Daniel had one last glance. The woman turning toward the machines, her glow burning brighter than ever, before the girl pulled him through the wall. The world behind them vanished in a burst of silver light. The stand Daniel fell forward, hitting solid ground, but it wasn't wood or concrete. It was smooth, black stone that shimmered like water under the faint light. He pushed himself up and froze. The world around him was wrong. The sky was not black, but an endless void sprinkled with floating shards of light, like broken pieces of stars hanging in midair. Some were small as coins, others the size of buildings, slowly drifting. There was no wind, no sound, only the low hum of the ground beneath his hands. The girl stood beside him, still holding his arm. "This is the between," she whispered, "a place between worlds. My mother brought us here so they can't find us." Yet Daniel swallowed hard. "Where is she?" The girl's voice cracked. "She stayed behind to stop them." Daniel looked back, but the rippling wall they came through was gone. Only smooth stone stretched behind them. The girl knelt, placing her palm flat on the ground. A faint silver circle spread from her touch, showing a hazy image, her mother, still, in the basement, standing against 3 harvesters. Her glow was so bright, it lit every corner. But Daniel could see the toll, her movements slower, her shoulders heavy. "She can't win against all of them," the girl said, tears welling. "Not without this." She reached into her ragged clothing and pulled out a second glass sphere, identical to the one the woman had given Daniel. "She gave you one because she trusts you," the girl said. "But if she falls, the harvesters will follow her here. And here, there's no place to hide." Daniel felt the sphere in his pocket, its cold surface pressing against his leg. "What exactly happens if I use it?" The girl hesitated. "It will explode with light strong enough to burn their cores." but it will also destroy everything near it, including us. Daniel's throat tightened. That's not a weapon. That's suicide. The girl didn't answer. The humming beneath them changed, faster, sharper. Daniel realized it wasn't the ground. It was the air dot from the edge of the floating shards of light. Something moved, but it wasn't the harvesters. It was bigger. A massive serpentine shape slid through the void like it was swimming. Its body shimmered with hundreds of tiny lights, and its head was crowned with curved horns of crystal. Every time it moved, the shards of light around it shifted, almost bowing. The girl's eyes widened. No, not here. What is that? Daniel asked. The warden, she whispered. It guards the between. It destroys anything that doesn't belong. And right now, that's you. The creature's head turned toward them. Its eyes were deep pools of burning silver, and when it opened its mouth, the void itself seemed to bend inward. Daniel's heartbeat pounded in his ears. We're trapped between a monster and the harvesters if they come through. The girl's voice trembled. That's why my mother always said, the between is not a place to hide. It's a place to make your final stand. Daniel gritted his teeth. The sphere in his pocket suddenly felt heavier. Somewhere beyond the void, he could almost hear the faint echo of her mother's voice. If you want to live, you will have to fight. Asterisk a new life. The warden moved closer, its massive body sliding through the void like liquid steel. Every movement made the shards of light tremble in the black sky. Its eyes locked on Daniel and the girl, unblinking, ancient, merciless. Daniel's hand slipped into his pocket, fingers closing around the cold sphere the woman had given him. He could feel it, not just the smooth surface, but a faint pulse. Inside, like it was alive, the girl stepped forward, her small shoulders squared. If the warden reaches us first, we'll be erased. No pain, no warning, just gone. Not the most comforting thing you've said tonight, Daniel muttered. But before the warden could strike, the air behind them rippled. The black stone ground shivered, and then a burst of silver light tore open the void. She came through. The woman stumbled, her glow dimmer, but her eyes still fierce. Her hands were slick with silver blood, not hers, but the harvester's. Behind her, Daniel caught a glimpse of their crumpled, burning shells before the portal closed. They will send more, she said, her voice low but urgent. This place is no longer safe. The girl ran to her, hugging her tightly. But the moment of relief didn't last. The warden had stopped moving. Now it was circling, its massive body coiling like a snake about to strike. The woman's eyes flicked. To Daniel, do you still have it? He nodded, showing the sphere. She stepped toward him. If the warden reaches us, it will tear us apart. If we return to your world, the hunters will follow. There is one choice left. Daniel frowned. You mean use this thing? Her gaze didn't waver. The light will burn the warden. It will seal the between for years. But she glanced at the girl. It will also keep us here, trapped, together. Daniel's chest tightened. So, I either go back alone or stay here with you forever. The girl looked up at him, her eyes shimmering. If you leave, they will find you. And next time, you won't have anyone to save you. The warden roared, a sound that felt like it was inside his bones. It lunged, its jaws opening wide enough to swallow them all. Daniel didn't think. He crushed the sphere. The world erupted in silver light, so bright it erased the darkness, the shards, even the roar of the warden. When Daniel opened his eyes, the void was gone. The ground was soft beneath him, the air warm. He looked up and saw an endless horizon of silver grass under a sky that shimmered like morning frost. Woman stood beside him, breathing hard but alive. The girl was sitting in the grass, smiling for the first time since he met her. The woman spoke. "The between is closed. We are safe, for now." Daniel looked around. "Where is this place?" The girl answered, "Home, not yours." "But it can be." Daniel felt the strange calm settle over him. No hunters, no machines. No warden, just quiet. But as he lay back in the grass, he noticed something far above, a faint red light blinking in the sky, moving slowly toward them. The woman saw it too. She didn't speak, but her hand rested lightly on his arm. Safe for now.